So I went on Twitter and I said, hey, give me the craziest business listing that you've seen lately. And I got 30 responses.
It says retirement. Maybe the person needs like money for a flight somewhere.
That's the retirement.
I'm just going to sell my business so I can go to Bora Bora.
One day I will find a diamond in the rough on Craigslist.
Our most popular episode of this podcast for the first couple of years was we interviewed a guy and he came on and he talked about how he found a business on LoopNet and he bought it, and 6 months later how happy he was.
Hey everyone, it's Bill, and I want to tell you about maybe the most exciting sponsor we've had in a long time on the pod. It's called Capital Pad, and it is the thing that I wish existed when I started my journey of operating and investing in small businesses. So Capital Pad is a marketplace for acquisition entrepreneurs, that is, people who want to buy a business and need capital to list their deals and solicit capital from other people who want to invest in acquisition deals. So if you want to back somebody buying a small business, Capital Pad is the place to do it. And if you want to buy a business and need capital, you can go on Capital Pad to be introduced to investors. So the really great thing too from the investor side is that Capital Pad takes care of all of the details that can get hairy with small business acquisitions. They handle standardized terms, standardized governance, standardized distributions, all upfront in black and white. Basically, Capital Pad professionalizes investing in small businesses. And the returns can be really, really good. I'm so stoked they exist. It's founded by my friend Travis, who is a phenomenal entrepreneur in his own right. So if this sounds like something that's appealing to you, if you want to buy a small business and need capital, or if you want to invest in small businesses, go check out capitalpad.com and tell them that Acquisitions Anonymous sent you.
Welcome to Acquisitions Anonymous, Internet's #1 podcast about buying and selling small businesses. Today's episode was a crazy Canadian deal that involved hunting and 4 co-hosts. So it was really fascinating because the business, as you'll discover, was for some reason priced at like 0.1 times earnings. So like a tenth of the annual earnings was what they promised in this deal. So super fun. Here's the episode. All right, so I got one for you guys. So here's what I did last night. I went on Twitter. I don't know if you guys are aware. I tweet a lot. So I went on Twitter and I said, hey, give me the craziest business listing that you've seen lately. And I got 30 responses. 29 of them were spam porn bots. But one guy did respond. One guy did respond with a deal. And it's this deal. It's up in Canada. And I'm not sure if it's really ridiculous or not, but it looked cool. And a real person responded. So let me try to share it. This is from buyandsellabusiness.com, which is not. This is the first time we've ever looked at this listing site, a Village Wealth company. And then they misspelled wealth. What is this? WELLTH? What the hell is going on?
It's actually a really
here?
Good company in Canada. I know the founders.
This is like Chuck E. Cheese started a business listing service. All right. So the picture on the front is a duck. And it appears to be a fake duck. And the title is a unique and successful hunting decoy manufacturing operations. Our motion duck decoy products are the result of our latest development and collaboration with the hunting experts in Canada and the United States. Rotating plastic molded wings attached to a heavy-duty, direct-drive, water-sealed DC motor, which produces motion that creates an unstoppable natural attraction. Powered by a single 6-volt sealed lead-acid battery, this motor rotates the spinning wings at just the right speed. The on-off switch is conveniently located on the outside of the duck decoy body beneath the duck's tail. Our motion duck decoy offers unrivaled durability. So the business is for sale for $5,999 Canadian. So Heather, how much is that in real money?
I have no idea.
I think it's about $5,000.
I don't know the conversion. I don't have that foreign exchange calculator in my head.
So the business is for sale for $6,000 Canadian. Let's say $5,000 US dollars. Last year of their completed statements was 2018. Their gross revenue is $500,000 and they make $25,000 a year. They are selling 100% of the business and they are retiring. And that's it.
The business is for sale for like a 0.25 earnings multiple.
It looks like it. So Mills, you look like somebody that would own a gun. What is this? What does this business do?
I know these decoys. I don't have one of these, but I've seen them. You know, whenever you duck hunt, you set out decoys And most of them, 99% of them, are just ducks that sit in the water, and they have like a little lead weight on them and a string. And you call the ducks, and when they come in, they see your decoys, and then they land. And when they go to land, you shoot them. This is like a step above that, and this is a moving decoy that flaps its wings, and then it confuses the ducks even more, and they want to come land by your decoys even more. You would intersperse these with like a regular decoy. What's weird to me is that this is not unique and proprietary to them. Like these exist. You could Google search this, and there's tons of people who make them. I don't think it's, protected by any intellectual property or anything like that. Maybe some of the design is unique, but moving decoys, especially duck decoys that flap their wings, is not unheard of.
And the components, they're showing a picture of the components probably come from China because it's little electronic components.
It's a little electric motor with a...
Yeah, like you import these little electronic components and you assemble them. It's, they call it manufacturing, but it's probably pretty close to just kind of assembly because you probably order the duck, I assume it's plastic parts from somewhere, and then you bring it all together and you put it together and sell it online, I suppose. Or I don't know if they're wholesaling it as a manufacturer.
Yeah, they don't tell us.
No.
Chelsea, you look at a lot of deals. What do you think is going on with this listing?
I'm so confused. I don't know because I almost feel like it has to be a typo because that's just not any money.
Maybe they meant 50,999 Canadian dollars. I did check the conversion. This 5,999 Canadian dollars is like 4,300 US dollars.
Well, it's getting cheaper every minute, Mills.
So maybe it's like maybe they want a 2 times earnings multiple.
That would make more sense. It says retirement. Maybe the person needs like money for a flight somewhere.
That's the retirement.
I'm just going to sell my business so I can go to Bora Bora for, I'll never come back. I don't know. I'm just confused.
I mean, the business is almost 25 years old. So,
I mean, it sounds more like and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but like kind of like a hobby, because 500,000 in revenue after that long in service, like, is it possible that this person is just making them, right? Like, I don't know that there's a team, given that I don't know. I'm just confused by a lot of things.
I feel like someone's got a garage full of these parts.
That's literally what is in my head.
Yeah, they put them together and they're hoping someone can buy it and keep going.
It's like you're just buying them out of the inventory they have left so they can make room for their four-wheeler. I don't know.
These things they range from like about $65 to maybe, $90 to $100. So, I mean, they're selling a shocking amount of these to me, right?
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if maybe there is some kind of wholesale relationship. Oddly enough, I have a friend here in Columbia who owns an e-commerce business that does pretty well, and all they sell is duck decoy bags, which is a really specific kind of mesh waterproof, because like these things, you're pulling them out of the water and you put them in a bag, but you can't like put them in a duffel bag. And I might send it to him. It's kind of interesting. It's very related.
So I have a friend, and I was speaking positive of a business like this. I have a friend who basically was not your all-in kind of entrepreneur guy. And he went and basically started a business similar to this in his garage, has some Chinese parts, has some domestic parts, manufactures these things. He started doing it himself, and he started hiring people. And now he's got a team of about 8 people. And his garage just turned into this like 4,000 square foot warehouse that's got to be air conditioned in Texas. And he's like doing pretty well. Like he's making low 6 figures every year. And it was started as like a side hustle. So like, I really like this as a path. I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs lately who are like, I want to buy a business. I was like, why don't you consider one that you can own, like either start or do from your garage and like invest $25,000 to start it rather than, and no offense, Heather, take out a $5 million loan, right? There's some people that's just not right for. And I like
Yeah.
this kind of business for that type of person because I've seen it work for my buddy and for other people. Hey everybody, if you've listened to the show, you've probably heard us talk about franchises. While franchises can be a great path to business ownership for the right person, like there's a lot of pitfalls, and it's important to be really careful, as there are certainly good franchises to be in and bad franchises that you don't want to be in. Connor Gross is a friend of the pod and a resident expert on franchises. And Connor not only owns and operates his portfolio of multiple franchises, but he's also a franchise consultant and helps others work through, well, picking the right franchise for them. So as he's sponsoring today's episode, everyone should totally click in the show notes below to join Connor's newsletter and attend one of his Gateway to Franchise Ownership workshops. If you're ready to move and move quickly, schedule a call with Connor and his team today.
I like the concept. I guess I'm just confused because we're talking like a 5% margin, correct? I'm not doing the math wrong, am I?
Well, I think here's the other thing. Last year of completed financial statements was 2018.
Correct.
So
I'm
it's
very
I don't know.
confused.
I didn't notice
I'm not good
that.
at
Okay.
math, but that was 7 years ago.
Right. I don't understand what we're buying. I don't understand much of anything.
Maybe
This
it's
could be a business
seasonal. You know, this business could be seasonal, but maybe it's like every 7 years.
Like a locust thing or something.
Yeah, like the cicadas.
The cicadas. Yeah, it's very strange.
They do have a website. It's a Facebook page.
Okay.
So
Oh, wait,
is it
here
possible that you're just buying what you're buying is, I mean, you could buy the domain apparently for $4,000.
If it comes with the domain, it's a steal.
It doesn't. That's another 4,000. It's
Dang it.
4,000 and then you pay 4,000. You're 8,000 in on this business and I'm not sure what the business is.
Doesn't look like they, have an e-commerce presence based on what we're seeing.
No, it smells like you're buying the leftover parts, designs, maybe an old customer list. It wouldn't surprise me if this was the type of business that a guy started with 10 or 15 customers. His buddies were, and he was selling to local stores and stuff like that. And then eventually those local stores all switched to buying these directly from China or someplace like that and cut them out. And the thing wound down to basically nothing after being somewhat thriving for a period of time. It was one of those businesses that just kind of died on the vine. That's what it feels like.
And like, it probably was a great, to your point, like the value of side hustles, it's probably a really great side hustle for this guy. And, they were able to help fund their hobby and probably connected them to a lot of other people in the hobby. I think with businesses like this, you can catch them before they die on the vine. Like I don't think a hobby business, like to your point earlier, Michael, I don't think a hobby business means it's not viable. You just want to buy it while it's still a viable, thing that has like blood flowing through its veins.
Well, anything that you like, most side hustles are because someone, and this is my opinion, is because someone just doesn't know how to scale it, right? It's a different skill set to scale a business. I think with this one, regardless of the business, I think buying a business with 5% margins is dangerous. Like that's very quickly could have, especially with the tariffs, if these are parts coming from overseas, like I can't imagine you'd have any money left over.
Yeah.
And so anyway, this I like that someone answered your call, Michael, and you asked for the craziest deal. I have questions. No disrespect to the beautiful business owner, I'm sure. Like I don't mean to speak ill of it, but like I just don't understand.
Heather, what do you think the chances that this listing, when they saw gross revenue, this person listed all of the revenue they did in history of owning the business for 20 years?
Very possible. Gross revenue. Didn't say gross annual revenue.
Gross cumulative. That's actually a good point.
You're right.
That could be. Yeah.
Yep.
It's true because it says annual earnings. So it's like since 2001, they have sold $500,000.
I bet that's what it is. Because like to your point, Mills, if they're that cheap, that's a lot of units. Maybe they sold those units over all that time, 10 years. Yeah, probably. And I think this is like clean out my garage kind of listing. Please come get this stuff.
Let's talk for a second about like the clean out my garage, business deal. In certain cases, if you're a strategic buyer, I wish Bill was here because he did something like this once. But if you're a strategic in some way, shape, or form, like you could get, bottom dollar pricing. You could buy this stuff, especially if it's been sitting for 7 years with no revenue. And if you're like my friend who owns the Decoy bag business, you could get it for 20 cents on the dollar and you don't have to sell that many to break even.
Yeah.
We've had a member growth through acquisition very similarly. In two situations, came across these kind of this, and you get a really good price. again, I just think that we don't know anything about this business, but for the listeners, 5% margins is dangerous.
Yes. Yeah.
In any
If there's
business.
one takeaway, Chelsea's like, run away from 5% margins, please.
Like, I just want it on the record that you guys need to be careful of margins.
But I think you're right, Mills. This could be like a garage sale fine for somebody, right?
Yeah.
If you knew, he should have just listed, or whoever this is should have just listed what the inventory is, you know, how much of it and what it is. And, you know, it could retail for X, and I'm just trying to get rid of it for 6,000.
Yeah. It's like listed on Craigslist or something.
Yeah, right. That could work.
You guys ever look on Craigslist in the business section?
No, didn't know they had one.
Oh, it is fascinating.
No.
99% of it is like, you know, used kitchen equipment and stuff like that. But occasionally you get these off the wall things where somebody's like, I want to sell my print shop, you know, or whatever. And it's kind of the sample, you know, the sample size is not great in terms of what you find, and the quality is not good. But I'm like, the contrarian in the back of my mind says, like, one day I will find a diamond in the rough on Craigslist. And so I check it periodically, and, you know, you might be able to buy like booths from a restaurant, you know, that need to be reupholstered, but also there could be like a great, you know, manufacturing business in there.
So I will remind you, Mills, just before you get your hopes up, our most popular episode of this podcast for the first couple of years was we interviewed a guy, and he came on and he talked about how he found a business on LoopNet and he bought it, and 6 months later how happy he was. 12 months after that, he came back and told us how miserable he was, that the business was terrible and he hated it and he didn't know what he got into and it didn't make any sense. So
It's like, we're still in the honeymoon phase. It's great.
yeah,
Okay. Give it time.
it's just a reminder. All right, you guys want to wrap it up? Anybody calling on the duck decoy business, Chelsea? Any of your members doing this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it can help. Like, they can sell them as they fund their search to find.
Yes,
like,
there you go.
Duck funded search. Yes.
And then they can tell prospective sellers that they have real operating experience.
Exactly. It's a duck fund instead of a search fund. I really like
Yep.
it. Yeah, that's the plan. Someone
A
go
real Duck
execute this.
Dynasty.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Wait,
want
isn't that what the Duck
pictures,
Dynasty
right.
guys did? Didn't they make duck decoys?
I literally have no idea. You guys have like reached like very interesting deals today.
Chelsea's like, please bring better ones next time, guys.
Actually, if you look at it, I mean, the Duck Dynasty guys were kind of, I mean, yeah, they were just so early. Like, they were like 6 years early to this like conservative trend that America's going down. Like, you know, they would be at the White House right now if they were still popular. Like, it would be Kid Rock
Yes.
comes in, the Duck Dynasty guys come in, like, you know, advising on natural resources and stuff. I'm such an elitist pig. I'm so sorry. All right, can we wrap it up there before I get canceled?
You're going to get canceled.
You're already canceled.
Yeah.
Bye.